We journey back millennia to around 7000 BCE to witness the slow dawn of settlements. These humble beginnings would gradually coalesce, transforming into something truly extraordinary, the Indus Valley Civilization, also known as the Indus-Saraswati Civilization. For alongside the mighty Indus flowed another river, now largely vanished, yet etched in ancient memory, the Saraswati. This river, sung of in ancient verses, was not merely a water source. It was a lifeblood, a cultural artery as this civilization aged and evolved. Picture the landscape. Fertile plains nourished by the Indus and its tributaries and tracing the ghostly path of the Saraswati. From this land arose multiple urban centers, grand testaments to human ingenuity. Harappa and Mohenjo-daro stand as prime examples, though today they lie within the borders of Pakistan. But scattered along the presumed course of the Saraswati, more sites emerged, whispering of the river's crucial role in this civilization's very fabric, its geographic expansion, and perhaps even its very name. To grasp this immense timescale, historians have charted phases within the Indus Valley story, from around 7000 BCE with the faint outlines of early settlements, to the early Harappan phase with the first stirrings of cities, to the Mature Harappan phase, the zenith, the apex, and finally the Late Harappan phase where the great civilization witnessed a gradual fading and a slow decline. What defined this Indus Valley civilization? What were its hallmarks? What caused this magnificent civilization to fade? Let's relive its chronology and understand about India's origins, paying particular attention to the intertwined story of the Indus and Saraswati rivers. Let's go back to the Neolithic age from roughly 7000 to 5500 BCE. This is the epoch where the seeds of civilization were first sown in the Indus region. Picture our ancestors, no longer wandering nomads, chasing the seasons and the herds. Instead, hunter-gatherer ways gradually gave way to something new, something revolutionary, agriculture. This was the dawn of settled communities, the very bedrock upon which the Indus-Saraswati civilization would eventually be built. To truly understand these distinct origins, we must journey to places like Mehrgarh, in the land we now know as Balochistan in Pakistan. Mehrgarh whispers tales of the earliest steps towards domestication, the first experiments with wild grains, and understanding of cultivation of wheat and barley. And animals too, sheep, goats, cattle, were brought into the human fold. This was the momentous shift to food production, the unlocking of a new way for societies to sustain themselves, to grow, to flourish. The people of Mehrgarh in this era were pioneers. They built their homes from simple mud bricks, structures rising from the earth. No longer transient, these were settlements taking root, and with settlement came innovation. Basic pottery emerged from the kiln, and tools were shaped from stone and bone. Even their burials speak to us across the millennia. At Mehrgarh, the earth has yielded numerous graves, some adorned with poignant offerings. Baskets, tools, beads, and ornaments, carefully placed alongside the departed. What do these grave roots tell us? Perhaps a belief in realms beyond this life? Perhaps a sense of continuity after death? Perhaps even hints of social structures and distinctions emerging within early communities. We move forward in time into what historians call the Early Harappan period. Across the landscape, a subtle shift was underway. The scattered settlements of earlier times began to take on a new character. No longer just temporary encampments, they became more fixed, more solid. Along the life-giving rivers, these settlements emerged, hinting at a growing sense of community, a nascent understanding of how to manage the resources of this fertile land. Sites like Kot Diji and Amri began to show signs of more organized layouts and larger populations. Cotton was now added to wheat and barley, indicating a diversification of crops. Animals were often domesticated and brought into partnership with humankind, playing a crucial role in agriculture and transportation. And from the hands of these early people, artistry began to emerge. Distinctive pottery traditions took shape, such as ceramic vessels adorned with geometric patterns and stylized motifs, the first expressions of a unique aesthetic. Craft specialization arose. Artisans honed their skills working with stone, bone, and copper, fashioning tools and ornaments, objects of both utility and beauty. Their world was not isolated. Across vast distances, connections were established. Traders ventured forth, establishing routes that reached far beyond the Indus Valley towards Egypt, towards Mesopotamia, perhaps even the distant lands of Central Asia. These early trade networks, still being uncovered by historians, reveal a dynamic and interconnected world, underscoring the vibrant energy of this early Harappan age. Evidence also suggests that the Saraswati River might have played a significant role in facilitating some of these early trade routes. Now we arrive at the crescendo, the peak, the moment of full bloom. We have reached the Mature Harappan phase, the zenith of the Indus-Saraswati Civilization. This was the era where everything came together, where the potential of earlier times exploded into magnificent reality. True urban centers, meticulously planned, astonishingly advanced for their time, rose out of these plains. Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, and numerous other sites, including those along the Saraswati like Rakhigadi and Dholavira, were cities laid out with a grid-like precision and foresight. There were fortified citadels rising above the residential areas, a testament to power and organization. Everywhere we saw evidence of order and deliberate design. Baked bricks, standardized and uniform, were used on a scale that speaks of centralized control and engineering prowess. And beneath the surface, a hidden marvel: drainage systems. Intricate networks channeling water and waste, sanitation on a scale almost unimaginable for this ancient age. This was also an age of specialization, of refinement. Artisans, masters of their materials, produced a dazzling array of goods. Archaeological evidence points to pottery, exquisitely decorated with plant and animal motifs, seals carved with intricate detail depicting animals, mythical creatures, and human figures. Jewelry made from precious stones and metals, and metalwork of astonishing sophistication, including the famous dancing girl figurine. And beyond their cities, trade flourished. Long tendrils of commerce stretched across vast distances, linking the Indus Valley to far-flung lands, to Mesopotamia across oceans and deserts. Evidence of Indus Valley seals found in Mesopotamian cities and vice versa attests to this vibrant exchange of goods and ideas. The Saraswati River likely served as an important inland waterway to trade within the civilization's vast territory. This was a complex society, a structured world. Urban planning itself hints at hierarchy, at organization. Grand buildings, structures that could have been granaries, point to a managed economy, a system of storage and distribution. Standardized weights and measures, the tools of commerce, point to a sophisticated economic order as well. And then the enigma, the mystery that still eludes us, the Indus script. Undeciphered symbols hinting at a system of communication, a language we cannot yet grasp, a key to unlocking the inner workings of this lost civilization. But then a gradual dimming of the lights. We have reached the Late Harappan period, the twilight of this once magnificent civilization. This is not a story of sudden collapse, but of transformation, of a long, drawn-out decline. A change was now palpable in the great cities and settlements, once vibrant centers of urban life. Populations dwindled, the bustling streets became quieter, the intricate infrastructure began to crumble, to fall into disrepair. Archaeological excavations speak of weakening authority, a decentralization, a scattering of people into smaller, more isolated settlements. Even the very objects they crafted, the pottery, now shifted, reflecting a cultural landscape in flux. What forces conspire to bring about this transformation? One major factor could be the very rivers themselves. the lifeblood of this land, shifting their courses. The Saraswati River in particular appears to have been gradually drying up around this time, impacting the agricultural productivity and the sustenance of settlements along its banks. Agricultural productivity faltered, water became scarce, and perhaps the very climate itself turned against them, the rains becoming less reliable, the land growing drier, more arid. Socio-economic stresses may have played their part too. Trade routes disrupted, connections severed, internal tensions rising and weakening the once strong fabric of society. And so, a great migration began. The grand urban centers were slowly abandoned, left to the sands of time. Yet, life and culture persisted. Smaller settlements continued, scattered across the landscape, some even adapting, finding new ways to survive in a changing world. In places like Gujarat, a flicker of continuity remained, resilience perhaps born of their coastal location and their ability to adapt to the rhythms of the sea. The Indus Valley Civilization, as it once was, may have faded, but its legacy did not vanish entirely. And so, we trace the arc of the Indus-Saraswati Civilization, a story etched in mud brick and whispered by undeciphered script. From the burgeoning agricultural communities of the early Harappan period, a foundation was laid, a slow, steady pulse of innovation. Then the magnificent crescendo of the mature Harappan phase, when planned cities rose, trade flourished, and a sophisticated society thrived along both the Indus and the Saraswati. Finally, the gradual shift, the subtle and sometimes stark changes of the Late Harappan period, a time of adaptation and transformation, as old ways gave way to new. The story of the Indus-Saraswati civilization reminds us of the cyclical nature of civilizations, their rise, their flourishing, and their eventual transformation, leaving behind a rich legacy for us to explore and understand.